How's it going, everyone? It's been a couple days since I posted a video. Today we're going to try to get the E46, the 330ci fixed. We're going to do a coolant tank. We're going to go ahead and put a new battery in it. We're going to start it up, actually let it run, take it for a drive. And we're going to try to get the seats cleaned, try to get the carpets cleaned, and just see what else it might need. That's the plan for this afternoon. We're going to go ahead and start getting it done. Okay, so we're going to start off with putting the new coolant tank in. We have the fan off. We have the shroud out of the radiator. We're going to put one new belt on it. The other one looked like it was almost brand new. So it's going to have good belts on it. The AC belt they took off was totally shot. It's totally cracked. So we're going to go ahead and reassemble that. Get everything filled up. We'll probably wait till the very last to put the air box back on. We're going to start this thing up and actually get it running and driving. Okay, so we got the belts on. They're a little tricky to get on these cars. They're not very difficult once you know how to route them. They're not bad at all. I have other videos up on how to do that. I think at this point, probably before we put this back together, I'm looking back here and I'm looking at the ICV boot and it's all ripped. So I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to go and pull the disc, just like the 325 XI a couple days ago. We'll pull the disc up, pull the throttle body boots. We'll go ahead and replace the bottom one. I'm hoping I have another one here. And we'll probably go ahead and clean the ICV next and do all that stuff. We may go ahead and disable the CCV, but it seems like it's working fine, so we might just go ahead and leave that part of it, and then we'll go ahead and go back and reinstall the coolant tank, the shroud, the upper hose, and fill it, and we should be good after that. Okay, so here's where we're at, guys. We went and pulled the disc out. We tested the disc. The disc is really good, actually. Now, also remind you, this car doesn't have a lot of miles on it, so you're not going to have near the problems that a lot of the cars get around 200,000. This car only has 129 on it. So that being said, I would think that this is probably the original boot. You can see the big rip in it right there. That'll cause a lot of cold start problems. This car was still cold starting strange, which is pretty normal when you get these in. So that's probably that. I don't think these boots have been replaced because all the clamps are pointed down, and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get that off. I might just go ahead and take the razor knife and just cut that off and just pull the boot off, get the clamps all flipped around, go and replace that bottom boot, carefully inspect the top boot, and then we're going to go ahead and get the ICV out. I feel like when I do these videos, I do the same thing over and over. I'm going to go and put you on time lapse. That way it goes pretty quick. You can sit here and watch me do it. You guys that may be doing this to your car may not have seen the past videos, so we'll go ahead and do that. You can't see a lot on time lapse, but it only takes up a few seconds of your time versus 20 minutes. Man, I tell you what, guys, that's a real son of a bitch when that happens. A lot of times at the factory they'll do that, and they'll put the clamps on the bottom where you can't get to them. This boot was already all ripped up, so there was no reason to keep it. It was trash, so I just took the razor knife and sliced it where I get back behind it and get the clamps off. If you have one like this that the boot's still good on, you probably get a 1/4" drive ratchet and a 1/4" socket, and maybe try to get way up underneath of it with a bunch of extensions and maybe get it loose. On the 5 Series, it's pretty easy. 3 Series, you have this firewall is right here and doesn't come out, and that makes it almost impossible to get back there to do that. Okay, guys, so I think we're ready to go back together. We're going to pull the ICV out. It's right here, and you got to, of course, twist it back and forth to make sure it's free. This one was not, so took some carb cleaner, throttle body cleaner, whatever you got, spray down in there. Really good, get it all cleaned out. This one's real free. Another note, I grabbed a hold of the drain tube that goes from the CCV down to the dipstick. It feels good. It doesn't feel rotten. All the upper hoses look okay. Now, we'll leave it on there for now. If we start getting ling codes, we're probably just going to rip it off of there. We don't want to mess around with that too much. Whoever buys this car may not want to mess around with it. Depends on where they live. They live out of state somewhere. They may have to smog it. It won't pass smog, probably without a catch can on it. To put a catch can on a car that you're just going to sell is risky because people won't dump it. And once the catch can gets full, it'll start actually putting water in the engine if you don't dump it, obviously. So for right now, we're going to go and reassemble this. We're going to put a new rubber boot on the throttle body, and we're going to see if it's going to be okay. Okay guys, so one more thing I want to add. If you guys watched me do these before, I'm always very careful on what I do here. So you want to make sure when you put all this stuff back together, use a little penetrating oil like PP Blaster or even WD-40 will work. And all these hoses, when you push them back on, I put a little trickle around there so everything slides together easy. I'll go through and spray the clamps. That'll save you a lot of grief also. And especially like on the Dissa, I'll clean that with a dry rag and put a little WD-40 around it. It'll make it seat really well. The more attention you pay to these things, you know, if you watch every little tiny step, you're not going to be sorry in the long run. Just take your time, make sure every bolt's put back where it was, don't leave anything out. Make sure everything's clocked right. This is going to have to be turned just a little bit. And you know, if you do that, these are really easy cars to work on. If you're a fool and just in there wrecking stuff, this isn't the car for you. Okay, so here we are. We're going to just pull the radiator out. A lot of times you'll find, in fact, that 325 I did the other day was the same way. When you go to push the tank down on the little fittings down here, it'll go down, but you can't get the clip in it. It has a little black pull clip that locks it in place. So what I usually do, I go and pull the radiator out. Now on these E46s, there's a few different things here. On the newer ones, the post facelift, so 2001 and newer, they're going to have, you know, obviously this is turned around into the car, but on the right hand side they're going to have a little screw right there, see it, and they're going to have one right there, so that's towards the engine when it's sitting in the car like that. You have to pull that out and ever so carefully stick a little screwdriver back there and work that out, and right there is an O-ring that'll pop out. So once you get that out, it'll come out. That's really hard to get off in the car. The nice thing about this is you're only one screw away from getting the whole radiator out and pulling the hoses off. So it has a screw on the top right there that holds it actually into the car itself, and that whole thing comes out. So that being said, what I have to do a lot of times to get these to seat down right, I'll take a 3/8 drive extension, and right here in between the two hoses, I'll flip it upside down. I'll put a rag under that. I'll set that on something not hard, but if you have a little table or something, and I'll tap down with a 3/8 ratchet like this, and that'll get these to seat. And you can just look at it, and you can tell when your clip's going to line up. You can see the line is lined up. Now, that's pretty easy to do. I do use the PP Blaster on the oil rings. You could use WD-40, any kind of dry silicone spray, anything as a lubricant to get those to slide down in there and lock in. And while you have this thing apart, I think I mentioned this before earlier in the video, go ahead and check your pulleys, go and check your idler, your tensioner, and your AC tensioner pulley. And you're going to take the bit off and spin them. These pullers are actually pretty good. This car doesn't have a lot of miles on it. Somebody's probably changed those once already. The water pump felt good, spin it, you know, everything's good. We don't know if this has a metal impeller or if it has a plastic impeller. That could be something the next guy could do. And the thermostat, all that worked fine. So we'll go ahead and leave it like it is. Okay guys, so got everything back in here. I went ahead and took off. For some reason on 330 it wouldn't clear the pulley. On 325 it will. I'm not sure if that's a pre-facelift situation or if it's a little different spacing here on the two-door or what's going on. Each car's a little bit different, but they all do take the same tank. So that's all fitted back up. And be careful too on the automatic cars. Right there's your tranny cooler. And it has a little pin right there, or a little clip. You want to put that clip in first, and then you want to push that tranny cooler back on there until that clicks. You want to make sure that that's locked in right. Because if it's not, it'll actually blow that off, and all your coolant's going to go out in about 20 seconds. So be very cautious of that. Make sure that clip is clipped in good. If there's anything wrong with that clip, throw it away and get a new one. Don't mess around with that. That's worse than having a bad radiator hose, because that is at the bottom. It'll all go out literally in 20 seconds, if even that long. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and clean the top radiator hose fittings, go and pop that back on, and I think we'll go ahead and slide the fan in. Might wait on the fan. We'll go ahead and start it up, start filling it, put the fan in very last. Okay guys, so running fine, no problems, no leaks. Went and put the top down. I haven't tried it on this car yet, and these are just one button, one touch deal, does the whole work. So this thing's got to be cleaned. It's kind of dirty inside. It's not real bad. It should clean up to look pretty nice, and it should okay, should clean up pretty good and look pretty nice when we're all done here. So let me go ahead and put the fan back in if it runs any longer. I'll go through and check all the lights out, make sure the lights work, and maybe we'll do a test drive. Okay, so we just took it for a drive. I didn't snap the airbox back in it. It's the only thing we didn't put it back in it yet. Just drove around the block. Everything seemed like it was good. Took it for one more short run, and no leaks. Doesn't overheat. Doesn't seem to have any issues. No smoke. The tires on this thing are not too bad. They're a little bit wore though, and they're a little lumpy at first. I guess I'm sitting and they smoothed out right away. The brakes all work good. I did notice that the power steering is making a little bit of noise. I don't know what the hell that is, but it's not power steering fluid or nothing I've ever seen. So we'll go ahead and drain that, put the right stuff in that. That'll probably take care of that, no problem. And I think other than that, all of our light module is acting a little bit weird. This one's on the back of the switch. And since you got the new battery, that hasn't been any more problems with that. Let me see. Other than that, we're just basically good cleaning. And then the blower motor for the heater don't work. And the radio turns on, but the backlights come on, but it won't turn on. So got a couple things to get sorted out, but luckily shouldn't be too hard to do at all. And I think other than that, I get pretty close to be able to sell it. I mean, I'm not trying to get top dollar by any means, but I did find the mirror in the trunk, so we'll see if we get that put back on or get that sorted out. So I think we'll be asking somewhere around 35 for it, maybe a little less. The car books at 63, so it does have a little scuff right there and on the front fender, and this guy here, but it looks like it looks way worse on camera. You can barely see it in real life, but that should be it. And the windshield has a crack in it. So I'm going to get all the mechanics done. I'll put it on there for on Craigslist or one of you guys for half of the book value. And one of you guys to take over and do everything else to get it all perfect. And the roof and everything else works good. And that's it, guys. Thanks for watching today's video.